Hey guys, StarCraft here, and well, if I get this out today, happy Mother's Day. If I don't, well, then happy belated Mother's Day. This has nothing to do with Mother's Day, but today I'm recording it though. But I decided to, well, I will eventually get to doing the Harley and Ivy meets Betty and Veronica eventually, but that's another 6-issue miniseries, and I just want to get things a little bit caught up on all that. So sorry. So instead, I'm going to do a 4-issue miniseries, one that I know I can get through a bit quicker. And let me put it this way first. I'm a Star Trek fan. I'm also a Star Wars fan. Yeah, I'm one of those guys. But you want to know what the real big kicker is? I also like Voyager. Never cared for Enterprise, but Voyager, I really liked. I know a lot of people don't, and I'll be honest, it's not the greatest, even I admit that, but I found stuff to enjoy about it. I've also been a big fan of the Borg, so maybe that's a big reason why. And, well, the thing we're going to, that's what we talk about here with the Borg, I mean, come on, it's not like about the Borg. You have Best of Both Worlds, First Contact, so many of those. And heck, the Star Trek Next Generation Doctor Who crossover dealt with the Borg and the Cybermen. So everyone really likes the Borg. Well, the thing we're going to be talking about this time is Star Trek Next Generation Hive. I even have the art and the artist John Corney who signed it. But the thing about this though is, one, this was done at least story by, not script by, but story by Brannon Braga. Him and I believe Rick Berman, I believe, were the two guys big time with really pushed Star Trek Next Gen and a bunch of the other series forward. And Braga especially did a lot of stuff with the Borg. And this story here is basically what he looks at as, in his mind, the Borg story to end all Borg stories. And here's the thing about Star Trek's expanded universe. There really is none. I mean, there is, but it's not really a continuity. There might be some if they have the same writers involved, but for them, and they've tried before with the novels. The closest that's ever come to working, even barely, is the comics that continue the Abram verse or Calvin timeline. But other than that, there really isn't any consistent one. And this in particular is just like that. It's set after Star Trek Nemesis, but that's pretty much it. And given a lot of stuff that happens in here, there's no way it could hook up outside of its own story. This is just basically they decided, and Braga really wanted to have a story. They asked him, did you have anything to pitch? He brought it up, and this is what we got. And there's some things here that make us really good. I mean, it's one of his better ideas, but at the same time, though, there's some other stuff we'll get into that kind of puts me off, especially what it implies about characters. But let's dive right in, shall we? As we open up in the 29th century, 500 years from what would be the present day, as we see Locutus of Borg. Yep, the car has been reassimilated, and now he is the Borg King. Which, given how much the Borg Queen obsessed over him, makes a lot of sense. And, well, the Borg have won. They've assimilated everything. There's not been any resistance whatsoever in the past century. So in other words, it took 400 years for the Federation to fall. And he's realized, and the collective has failed. They haven't reached perfection, and now there's no more species to try and reach it. Then perhaps maybe instead of a collective, maybe the individual was the best and was actual perfection. So he makes his way through it. He decides this needs to end. As he comes towards a shadowy figure who just simply says, "Greetings, Captain." And we don't know who it is yet, but it's kind of obvious who's the only one that will still be alive. Oh, just one moment. I'm back. Sorry about that. Anyway, we cut to Picard. He's taking some shore leave. This is in the present day. With an old fling, Vash, who, if you don't know Star Trek, or those of you who do, she was the archaeologist from Captain's Holiday, Cupid, and then would appear in Star Trek DS9's Q-Less. And, well, she was just basically someone that Picard fell for, and she fell for him, and definitely there was a connection. I don't know if Braga worked on that, but there is a reason why they're reconnecting their relationship. Although I do love how blunt Vash puts it. No matter how long it's been, you always come and find me. I think I know why. and it's not the sex. Wow, here and there in a Star Trek comic. Do tell. Because with me, there can never be more than a fling. And that suits me fine. As he tries to talk, but she basically says we both have our demons. As all of a sudden he starts hearing, the cutest, we are coming. Yep, he's hearing the Borg are coming as he has to go. And he basically contacts Starfleet. The Enterprise E heads on towards Starfleet Command. As we're also introduced to a Lieutenant Archer. No idea if she's related to Archer from Enterprise or not, but who knows. But we also meet up with Riker on the Titan. Those of you who saw Nemesis know he has his own command now. As well, basically the fleet is on its highest alert, and the 7th Fleet has already been recalled from the Romulan border. Everyone is about to deal with possibly the largest Borg invasion yet. But the strangest thing is, they're not attacking. They're not doing anything. All of a sudden then, they're basically hacked through as the Borg Queen appears in. Okay, one thing I don't care for the red gem on her forehead. It just, I don't know, it's not really needed, per se. Basically they say, we seek Locutus of Borg. We seek the one you call Jean-Luc Picard. As all of these Borg cubes and spheres surround them all. And they're about ready to want to attack. But then they say, we come in peace, as they lower their weapons and shields. But Picard realizes the ships, they look damaged, and he can hear them. They sound afraid. And while yes, when the admirals feel like we've lost, he was once one of them. Are we going to listen to him now? Dude, really? Yes, he's lost it, but last time he's lost it was more to his hatred for the Borg. Not that he wanted to rejoin them. But yeah, we talk, and the Borg Queen basically discuss how they needed assistance. They will be annihilated unless they do it. As it turns out, the collective has been experimenting with interdimensional travels, going to parallel and non-parallel worlds to seek out new biological and technological distinctiveness to add to their own. When all of a sudden they discover species 1881. Wait, but we had species 3972. Oh, forget it. But yeah, the Voldranai, rulers of a realm of chaos. They tried to assimilate them, but their biology was too complex. Unfortunately, the Voldranai became paranoid, fearing that others would come to their universe, so they decided to come to the main universe and attack, and they are wiping everyone out. So far, they've already plowed through their galaxy, and their part of the galaxy, including the Delta Quadrant already. Wow, so much of Voyager reduced to being moot. And basically they're right now at the edge of the Alpha Quadrant. And basically it'll only be a matter of time. If they agree then, they must work together. But they also agree they will send an ambassador. And once they do and they transport on board, it's 7 of 9 from Voyager, back with the Borg Collective. We then jump forward 500 years as we then find out who he's talking to, Locutus is talking to. And it's Data. Or rather, B4 with Data's mind still intact. And when Data asks to what end, he basically Locutus explains he must go back in time and basically hope that he is strong enough to do what must be done. Otherwise, the galaxy will not survive. In other words, this is it. Unless they stop the Borg here and now, that's it. They need to stop it. Otherwise, it's going to lead into this dark future. This is the end game, basically. We didn't get into the second issue, as we're now seeing how the collective is the closest to perfection the galaxy has ever seen. Total efficiency, not a single wasted effort, 1 billion worlds. And it's been so long since the last gasp of resistance. There's been nothing that required a swift allocation of resources, and certainly nothing that would attract the attraction of the Queen. And then Locutus just detonates so many cubes and spheres. Now, of course, I know some people complained before about the Borg were nerfed, but in this case, it does make sense. They've gotten complacent, and then no one would even consider such a thing happening. Not in 100 years since the last time they've had to deal with it. So basically, we see Locutus and Data are heading through as all of a sudden the Queen sent it all. a powerful drone designed to protect her, and it's 7 of 9. 503 years earlier, sorry about that, and it's right after Voyager got home. Right at the end of, their end game. I think that's what it was, end game or end times, one of the two. But we have Picard meet up with 7 of 9 as they talk, and how basically Picard reveals how his closest bonds now are with machines, his ship, Data, and basically 7 of 9 explains how conflicted that he is, that he strives for the hive mind, for perfection, but that they must be destroyed, and he agrees. Basically, he needs someone to help him tear apart from the inside, as, 7 of 9 agrees to be his sleeper cell, and I don't like this. This is the one part of this whole story I do not like. It's that this happens almost right after Voyager ends. She's ready to just jump back into the collective to work victory from within. Not this soon, no. That's the ones I really just do not like. It's just how sudden it is. That's why I'm glad that this is his own continuity. And look, we even have the Doctor in the background here. It's like, he would not have any of this. He would be like, no, 7, are you nuts? But they basically agreed to use a filter that can allow them to operate both still connected, but be able to hear them so she can send in communications back. At the same time, they wouldn't hear everything. As we then jump forward to 3 years to where we left off. As 7 of 9 comes on board and the filter is active. And basically 7 of 9 explains that what the Borg Queen told him is true. That this is a threat that they must be able to have to stop. And basically the entire fleets are on high alert and are readying. As LaForge points out, I have been studying the Borg's intel on the Volg and Draenei technology. I don't see how we match their firepower. Not to mention we have no idea how many ships they've got in their armada. Then we find a biological weakness to exploit. Has Mr. Worf assembled his team? And basically, they explain they've decided to get ready as they all start heading in. As we see the Intrepid and then the Kita head on first, and they're destroyed. Wow, the Intrepid is destroyed. That's a shame. As we're then seeing the Valdenar, species 1881 destroy a planet. As soon as it starts leading into a big battle, and I'll be honest, I like Corney's artwork on people, but the starships, while they look good, they're just stills. It just doesn't feel like there's any movement. They're just like boop, 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 boop. I mean, I get he took time to draw them all, and that's impressive, but yeah, it just doesn't feel right. As wait a minute. Oh, one point they're dealing with stuff from the Mutara Nebula as they used the static dust clouds to discharge and the ionized gases would mass them. A trick he learned from an old friend, meaning Kirk. That's the first time I caught that one. As further attacks go on, as we find out a bit about Lieutenant Archer. Her brother was assimilated by the Borg, and, she's a bigot about all this. She doesn't trust 7 at all and feels like once a Borg, always a Borg. But right now, she's able to keep it together. As Picard and the Queen all order to attack one of the main ships, as the shields are down. And we have Lieutenant Worf leading the hazard team. If any of you played Star Trek Elite Force, that's clearly a reference to it. As he leaves them born and about to transport on, and I guess Worf's no longer an ambassador anymore. As they transport on and start blasting at everyone, but these are big aliens as they just start, they're just dealing all sorts of damage. But and Worf then shoots a bioscanner, and as they do, 7 of 9 studies it and realizes they've been spliced from several locations and find traces of different species, and then realizes they've been engineered using Borg nanoprobes, realizing this is all a ruse as they start to order them to retreat. But then the Borg Queen orders to transmit the Sentinel program into 7 of 9. Just as Picard orders a retreat because of the betrayal, he looks at 7, and all of a sudden she starts to change. As we then skip 500 years in the future, as the Cutas and Data are dealing with the future 7, as they're fighting until Data snaps her neck and she falls over dead. And Locutus, just showing how cold he is, basically says, we can't think about who she was, Data. We mustn't hesitate to destroy anyone who stands in our way. As we end the second issue with, well, 7 of 9 starting to transform into that spider creature. And with Locutus saying, the Picard I used to be must learn this quickly. He will need the strength to destroy billions. As we are more and more leading to how much this has to happen. This has to be the end of it all. We go into the third issue as 7 is continually in pain as more and more appendages sprout out from her. As then she sends one of the arms right into a console, sending the prefix codes to the Queen, as the Queen has all of the ships lower their shields and making it a slaughter. Even the Titan is hit as a bunch of people are knocked out into space. It is just like a massacre. As being on the Voldrenai's ship, we see Worf is the only one left, and he's lost an eye. Wow. And I love this. My men are dead, sir. Today is a good day to stow it. We're beaming you back now. I love it. Basically taking that whole running gag of Worf saying, today is a good day to die. And he just like, stow it. And shut up. We're bringing you on board. But we see 7 is still going on for the attack until LaForge has isolated the Queen's control frequency and disrupts it, causing her to just collapse. As the Borg Queen hails them and explains how blunt assimilation has proved futile tactics against the Federation. Their species are too cunning, too formidable an opponent, so they decided to do a more deceitful approach, something that the humans, would have done. And she always knew that that Locutus would return. And then we jump 500 years into the future as they make it to the core. As the Queen is then brought in. And, okay. When first contact and all the other times we introduced the Borg Queen, I get it's mostly the top portion, and then you have a robotic jumpsuit that might have some cleavage, whatever. Who knows for what design, but a bra, what would a Borg think about having a bra? I mean, I get for censorship, modesty, and all that, but why would the Borg care? The rest of the design is fine, for the most part, but the bra, I don't get it. But basically, Locutus and Data continue going for the fight, but I love how the Queen's like, you ruled an empire, and now you seek to destroy it? We have failed. We are without purpose. We are gods, Locutus. This universe is ours. As they start to go in for a fight, as Picard in the present day wakes up, finding out just how bad it is. And yeah, basically how the shuttle bay is into a makeshift triage center for the wounded, and how the Borg have taken Beta Z and Cardassia. Again, if this was to be the final Borg story, I get it, but at the same time, it's just, it feels like too drastic. They're now heading for Vulcan. It just feels like I get they're taking advantage of this being its own self-contained story, but it's just, I don't know. But yeah, when asked about their fleet, basically it was revealed that they are scattered. They were able to escape, but it's only a matter of time before the Queen traces their warp signature. She wants Jean-Luc. She won't rest until he's by her side. And I love Crusher saying, you do have that effect on women. Then when asked about 7 of 9, they made very clear that the Queen used their own filter technology against them. And, okay, here's another plot hole, but it kind of repeats what Star Trek has done before. They keep on underestimating or assuming that they can outsmart the Borg using technology, when it's like, when a collective can go that thoroughly, you really think even something like a filter could be able to, they wouldn't be able to detect it? No matter how much you try to do it, they eventually will sense it. Yeah. But Lieutenant Archer basically said, we should terminate her now. She's too big of a risk. And 7 and 9 starts to agree, feeling like we believe the filter will work, and we were wrong. Maybe her disconnection might be also false. She's a danger to them all. And Picard agrees that she's to remain there under guard. And basically, he assumed 7 was their ace in the hole, but they're too many steps ahead of them as Picard heads onto the bridge. as they're getting Borg contacts in the asteroid that they've been found, and they decide when told they can't take it, they head into the Typhon expanse, which is back where during Star Trek Next Gen, I forget what the episode is, but the one where it kept they kept going to a constant loop. And they would basically repeatedly slam into a ship, and they had to keep repeating it over and over, and only Geordi remembered it. And at the very end, we are introduced to a ship captained by Kelsey Grammer at the very end. But it's known for its temporal anomalies. As they get through, and they're dealing with a tachyon surge, as something starts to come through. As we then cut back to 500 years in the future, and the Borg Queen is basically slammed into Locutus and with a claw arm, and even says, "You are Locutus of Borg, and you cannot defeat me," as she rips him in half. But then Data stabs him. But Captain Picard can, as Locutus grabbed her by the neck, and then with Data's help, that gives him enough of an opening to rip her head off. But he's dying. As he points towards the Queen alcove, there's a temporal displacement hub. Use the coordinates in time and space and send him there. And basically, he then dies as Data heads through, and through the temporal displacement hub, transports himself on board the Enterprise in the past. Use it because of the tachyon energies. He's able to do that because normally you need a other temporal displacement type of set properties, and what better place than that field. As we go into the final issue, and I actually do like how the cover looks a bit like a reversal, a more destructive format of the first Contact cover. As we then see Picard as he remembers being assimilated. And we even give a bit of a redoing of his nightmare from First Contact. As we then see, the Queen is ready to accept him. Then we see, Data's appeared, and he says, "Greetings, Captain. We have a lot of catching up to do. 5 years, 8 months, 4 days, and 16 hours, 27 minutes to be exact." I love Data. As he basically explains how the Borg assimilated the Daystorm Institute. Locutus knew my positronic matrix was inside the B4 prototype, so he was able to retrieve my brain. As he basically explained everything going on, and also why Locutus sent him to help destroy the Borg. He has weaponized a nanovirus into his neural net. Once injected, it will infect every drone and permanently fracture the collective. Within hours, the Borg will be extinct. So how is this any different than what Voyager had done at the end of their series? I guess they're basically doing it one more time, and just to point out, Worf's got a cool eye patch now because he lost his eye. And but now, to be fair, the big difference is that Locutus spent centuries perfecting the technology, whereas Janeway only took decades or so to do it. So that could be explaining it all, but of course they'll bring up how it is still genocide. A lot of those people can be reverted back. That's trillions of people. Even though they are Borg, they are victims. But basically it's one of those big, what do we do about it? And of course Lieutenant Archer, she's no help. She's basically all like, let history run its course. See you around the Hive mind. And basically then they realize the only way to deliver the weapon is directly before the virus can be detected. So he realizes I'm the only one she'll assimilate personally. So he will have to, and so they decide to upload the virus into his Borg implants. He must become Locutus once more. And they try to figure out a way of doing it. And now it's then decided that he, Seven, and Data will transport on board. Now, of course, hold on. But Seven even points out, look at you and look at me. Look at you. We've never recovered from our time in the collective. We miss it. We need it. The voices of the Hive call us still. Again, this feels like they're just disregarding so much of Seven's character development from Voyager for this. Hold on a second. Sorry about that. But I just feel like they're just disregarding it. She was getting beyond it. I know sometimes she would fall back, but towards the end, especially as she finally, in the last episode, activated her abilities to be open to more emotions in that final episode, just feels like Braga decided to toss that all aside. Unless this was the writers doing it and he didn't specify too much in his story plots, who knows. But then it's decided that, as they decided to all go on in and basically point out how Seven was undercover in the collective. She used the filter to conceal her thoughts and believed they could use it again properly this time. And, well, they're now heading towards the Borg Armada as we see what is basically their mothership, I guess, or their hub. And they head on in and transport all aboard. And obviously, of course, because of all the implants on Data, they're none the wiser. And Seven is still using the filter to a degree. And as they head on in, they hear the call for it all. As, well, basically at that same moment, they're being attacked. It was, well, basically, yeah. And she has the cutest, she doesn't care about anything else. And, and Picard comes off like, I won't fight you anymore. I belong here among the many who are one with you. A shame it took the loss of so many for you to realize it, Locutus. So many more could have joined us in the perfection, their biological and technological distinctiveness added to our own. I just love this though then. I tell you, resistance is futile, but you know this by now. Okay, it does still feel a little weird, the notion of having the Queen personified, but it also shows that I personally look at it the fact that the Borg didn't need the Queen at first. But then after that, or at least they had it to a degree to be symbolizing of it, but after dealing with the humans, because we already know, First Contact revealed that the Queen was there during Wolf 359, so it wasn't something that happened in between all that time. No, it was there before. But I think something about humans caused them to take more of an interest. Who knows? That's my own theory. But anyway, we then see the cars assimilated, but then we see 7 of 9 in a more symbolic gesture. I know this looks a little but it's really more of a symbolic, representing that she's there in their link. As, well, basically with the filter implants protecting them from the Queen, it basically starts to send out the virus. And the virus is spreading fast, as the Queen is the first one to go. As Picard even says, Locutus sends his regards, as the cubes are now acting erratic. And the collective is in chaos. Data disappears because, well, the timeline's now changed. And it's been altered. Like, I love how he says, do not worry, Captain. I will see you again soon, as he's gone. But then, hold on a second. I'm back, sorry about that. Turns out the filter was being used to keep the virus from spreading to them, as they decide to save as many Borg as they can. Of course, Lieutenant Archer's like, the hell you will! As she's ready to blast them, as she won't let them. As we see, Seven hooks up and is trying to use the filter to protect as many of the drones from the nanovirus. 30 drones from here, and 30 drones, 300. She begins spreading it to save more and more. As, Picard tells them to tell the rescue ships to start scanning for Borg survivors. But Lieutenant Archer is just completely having a breakdown. You have to listen to me. You have a chance to end the greatest scourge the galaxy's ever known. You can't leave any of them alive. Not one. She doesn't care. This just shows as much of her tough act. Nope. It was all an act. As now that she has that moment, she will be damned if she sees anything happen. As, well, she then fires torpedoes at the ships, and unfortunately, that causes more and more damage towards the main hub. As, well, Lieutenant Archer is taken to the bridge, as 7 and 9 keeps on trying to save more and more, but the damage caused by those torpedoes just causes you to deteriorate faster as 7's console blows. They are transported out there as they all get away. But unfortunately, 7's human and Borg organs are failing quickly. There's nothing they can do but give her comfort. How many? Rescue efforts are still underway, but we estimated you saved thousands. I didn't do enough. You did so much. I could have gotten more. There are thousands of people alive because of you. Captain, promise me. What, 7? You will always live in between. But promise me, You will aspire to live. I promise. As she dies. Hold on a second. I'm back, sorry. As with Seven's death, all of those thousands of Borg survivors were rescued, and majority of them were able to revert back to normal as much as they can, even giving a colony where they can recover. And they will never know Seven, but they just say they're benevolent queen, but she will keep inspiring them to keep living. And just like Seven inspires Picard every day. As we then see, we end with Picard ordering, set course for the Daystorm Institute. It's time to visit Data. And for the moment, Picard is finally alone with his thoughts. I'm torn. There's a lot of good stuff in here. A lot of great ideas, which is indicative of a lot of Braga stuff especially. Great ideas, but the execution is just... Especially like Seven's sacrifice on its own is fine. Especially to unleash so many more from the collective. That is fine. Because that would so much sound like her. But I don't know. It just feels like they should have made this a bigger story than just 4 issues. Maybe bring Voyager in as well. Not just keep it just assigned to just next gen. And maybe then build up a bit more. Maybe have it be something else is going on that leads to Seven being reassimilated or something. But not do it right after Voyager got back. Don't be doing it so... Because that... maybe that's explain why she was never, no mention of her at all during any of the, Nemesis or whatever. I don't know. But it just feels a bit off. And again, some of the other stories, it's a repeat of Endgame, of the final episode of Voyager, but at least there is a distinctive of it's Lakuta's doing it and not Janeway, and it took Lakuta's a much longer time to develop it from a more internally, whereas Janeway did it on her own way and all that. But yeah, again, it just feels... It does feel like a good fitting end for the Borg, that's for sure. And Picard being the first one instead of it being Janeway is more fitting. I will give it that. There's no question about that. But at the same time, again, it just feels like it should have been longer. Should have been longer, should have been a bit more with the details and all that. It just felt way too short. But the artwork is still good. The space battles notwithstanding for the most part. I mean, they really kept a lot of likenesses. Again, a lot of characterizations do make sense for the most part. And again, some of the nods to everything, how they're able to utilize past stuff. If this would end up being the final, well, I wouldn't say the final movie. If this was the final movie, it would have stunk. But if this was a special or something they could have done to be this was the grand finale of all things Next Generation related, in any history, yeah, that would have worked. And maybe that's what it was meant for. The Borg Star in Next Gen, it should end with Next Gen, but 7 of 9 was too important to not include. I don't know. But at the same time, though, I mean, the best part of this was how the Borg used deceit to get what they want, because they realized all of their regular efforts that they've been doing up to this point were not working. And basically it's a notion of once they start doing a tactic that that is different from what they usually do, they go all in. And a lot of times the Borg has shown that if they try to go do a new tactic, it usually does devastating work. But in this case, it was so devastating that it had to be stopped here and now. Otherwise, nope, they win. And I do kind of like the notion also that, yeah, we see what happened if the Borg win, and it's a horrible future. Kind of like in Frank Miller's Robocop vs. the Terminator, where the Terminators win, and what do? They leave Earth and start going to other planets. I get that. And so it's a similar mindset. It's that very machine mindset. Which would be fine if it wasn't, again, the Queen's obsession with Locutus. That's always been one of the biggest issues ever since they introduced the Borg Queen. It's this, the Queen does stuff that just makes no sense for the Borg. But who knows? There could be other explanations behind it. Like I said, I think that was more of a case of, assimilating humans did something that made it more its own independent thing. Who knows? But, yep, that's my video. If I get this out on Sunday, happy Mother's Day. If not, I hope you had a happy Mother's Day. And Well, I'll hopefully get to Harley and Ivy meet Brannon Braga. If not, I'll have something hopefully by tomorrow. But until then, see ya.